I don't know either. That didn't seem to work. So, anyway, you are listening to Fanboy Versus. I am your host, JD, attempting vigorously to get stuff to work, which is not. So, we're just going to power on. So, it is Fanboy Versus Free Comic Books, Thor, Mother's Day, the world. I mean, we are all over the place today. I am your host, JD. We've got Chris McFeely here. We've got Nicole here. Hello. No triplet.
Hello.
Apparently he loves his mother. And he's doing stuff with his family.
Oh, bad. You make me feel guilty.
Yeah, we do not love her. Actually, my mom is in, Mississippi. I'm in Oklahoma, so, I called.
I am in the UK, and we had Mother's Day a month ago.
So, see? People overseas.
My mom's out playing with the rest of my family that are mothers. I had to work.
Well, Anyway, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there that are listening live today for some reason. Which may even be my mom. Who knows? But we've got a jam-packed show today. This is going to be like a 4-hour show. We're going to run straight into Screen View tonight. So for those of you that haven't heard, Screen View is our new podcast on the TF Radio Network where we review movies and shows and stuff like that. So lots of stuff. I'm kind of sad that Triplet isn't here. I don't get to talk about the awesome episode of Smallville, which apparently I'm going to talk about. Awesome. Anyway. Hey, okay. Legion of Doom. That's all I have to say. Legion.
I was aware. I'm astounded at how retarded it looks.
It was, what's so funny is, Smallville has made this whole deal out of being, semi-real world and, no weird costumes or anything. And then they do the Legion of Doom, and there's, obviously, Solomon Grundy and Black Manta with the big frickin' helm, and then, Captain Cold with the hood. I'm like, wow, they didn't even try. It's just...
What was the context for all of this, by the way?
It was really kind of an odd setup. I mean, the deal is that I guess Toyman decided that he was finally had enough of the blur and somehow got a phone and got a bunch of other villain people that also had vendettas against the Justice League and...
Did they all stab knives into a table at one point?
No, I mean, really...
I thought we were going Superman Revenge Squad there.
No, I mean, Dark Archer was in there, but no, I mean, really
Dark
just...
Archer, what is that shit?
No idea.
Is that Merlin by some other name?
Probably.
Dark Archer.
Yeah, it doesn't... I don't know what that is.
Fuck you,
but
I'm glad you're ending.
And they all had, different targets, and they had different pictures of the members of the Legion.
Did they do stuff?
No, they sat at a table. They sat at a table,
so.
And they were trying to take over the water resources in Metropolis.
And were they all perpetually in shadow? What did they have operatives doing stuff for them?
No.
Well, how did anybody do anything then?
They didn't.
What the hell was the episode about?
Well, the only way they had... Okay, the deal was... I mean, there was 2 storylines going on. One storyline was that Clark figured out that he had to take Lois to Jor-El to ask his permission for them to get married. And so Jor-El said, okay, sounds great, except we got to do this one thing. So he gave Clark's powers to Lois for a day until sunset. Right. So now Lois is running around with Clark's powers and he's powerless. Well, in the meantime, Toyman now has assembled this Legion of Doom, which was not called that, trying to take over the water resources. And in the meantime, he uses some kind of control chip to take over Stargirl, and he's using her to strong-arm these businesses that...
Stargirl was in this.
Do what?
Stargirl was in this, then.
Yes. Yeah, Stargirl was in it. Kara was in it. I think that's it. Yeah, from as far as other Legion members, or Justice League members. But anyway, so Toyman did a lot of talking through his cell phone to the Legion, and there was a couple of scenes of that. But other than that, he took control of Lois while she was still powered up, told her to kill the Blur, And then, of course, this was right before sunset, and so Clark got his powers back and then was able to save her and whatever. So anyway...
Doesn't sound like we missed out on much.
No, I mean, it was kind of just cool to say, okay, at least they're sort of setting up the Legion of Doom, even though it definitely wasn't like the Smallville. I mean, I guess in some senses they're trying to segue from the sort of Smallville universe, which is supposed to be more down to earth, into the DC universe, which is more crazy costumes and, you know, big villains and stuff. So, I don't know. We got the 2-hour series finale is next Friday. But, so Clark deactivated Jor-El. He pulled the plug on Jor-El, so... Yeah, and then Kara went back, I'm assuming, to the future.
For any particular reason?
He felt that the whole thing was that Jor-El kept giving him all these trials, and what Clark finally figured out is that the trials end when Clark knows that he's ready, when he's finally got the balls to say, hey, I'm my own dude. And so he says, I'm my own dude, and pulls the plug. So, and then Kara put her Legion ring on and I guess went back to the future to hang out with
There's a spin-off that'll never happen.
Legion of Super... Yes! So, and, yeah. So anyway, I'm excited for the end of it just to kind of see how it all plays out. Finally to see Clark fly and in the screwed up Superman costume that we all know. But anyway, so, not screwed up, but just...
So what was the point of the Legion of Doom again?
Just to be the Legion of Doom and be there. It was just kind of... It was just
cameo,
like...
basically?
I mean, it was just sort of a fanboy moment, I think, more so than anything.
Is this the final one now? Is this the penultimate one? Is it just the finale next?
Yes, that's it.
Oh,
so,
okay,
2-hour finale.
Oh, wow.
We've got
Any
Lex...
closer to Darkseid appearing?
Yeah, Darkseid should appear. Lex should be there as well. So we should... So in 2 hours, we've got Lex coming back and then figuring... I'm assuming that Lex will be alive going forward, that they're setting up, you know, that Lex will actually be Superman's villain going forward. And then I assume that they're going to defeat Darkseid.
So what are they going to do after this series? They're not going to have a spin-off, are they?
Well, there's been rumors of spin-offs, and there's a lot of spin-off potential from the show. But as far as what they'll actually do, I don't know. I mean, there's been rumors that they're going to do a spin-off, a Superboy spin-off with Connor. You know, who knows?
So, do Smallville again, then.
Basically, do Smallville again with...
Yeah.
How
So
stupid
basically,
is it
a
that the show
reboot.
that was about Superboy, without having to call him Superboy, now has Superboy guest starring in it?
Yeah.
Seriously.
I think they're done. I think, you know... I mean, they're even saying that they're having trouble optioning this Wonder Woman series now.
Well, yeah,
Fucking
they-
surprise.
So,
They're having so many issues with it.
yeah,
mean-
and, you know, I don't know.
They're having
And
casting
yet
problems.
Marvel
I'm
is busy getting an Ant-Man film written. They're talking about Black Panther. They're talking about Doctor Strange. DC can't even get the third part of its Trinity made, or a Justice League film.
Well, the
Somebody
thing
at
is,
DC just needs to shoot themselves.
Marvel also announced this week Hawkeye and
Yeah.
Black Widow.
Black Widow, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
So-
if that can seriously be considered as a film before Wonder Woman and the Justice League, what society is this?
I think, I mean, this is something that goes back to some of the reason that I used to be a big fan of Marvel and wasn't as big of a fan of DC, and now I've kind of switched because I like that element. But the difference between Marvel and DC is that a lot of stuff in Marvel is very street level. It's very approachable. I mean, those characters are very down to earth. I mean, other than, say, X-Men and then all the space Marvel stuff, right? I mean, you know, Hawkeye, Avengers, I mean, these are normal people, essentially, or everyday people that now have powers, abilities, or that are part of a team or whatever. It's very approachable. But when you get into DC, there are the cosmic elements that you get into in DC, plus the time involved, it's just, there's so much there. I don't know how you translate that to an audience. I mean, we have yet to see Green Lantern, and I'm even a little paranoid about Green Lantern's ability to really get to an audience in such a way that it seems approachable. I mean, how do you explain or get an audience to accept that if you wear this magic ring, you now have these cosmic powers and you're part of an intergalactic space force of other people with magic rings that, I mean...
See, I don't know that it's so much a cosmic thing as the fact that it was invented by old white guys in the 30s, wherever standards were lower.
Yeah, I mean, well, and that's very true. I mean, in a sense, that is sort of the deal with DC, whereas... I mean, Marvel, even though it has roots further back, I mean, most of the primary Marvel universe was developed during the Silver Age, whereas DC
as a
had
deliberate
to...
attempt to ground this stuff in reality.
But have they said how long the movie is for Green Lantern? If it's a 3-hour movie, they could probably explain it, but that's the problem. If it's a 3-hour movie, it's going to...
It's never going to be.
I'd assume it's 2.5 or somewhere
I
in
would
there.
be surprised if it was that long.
I mean, Thor was not even 2 hours.
I know.
So, I mean, and that was a great movie. So, but...
I think everybody... Excuse me. I think everybody's been scared off long comic book movies after...
Spider-Man 3?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Well, I mean, and that's where I say,
Which
like...
one? Take your pick on the Hulk ones.
The two properties that have done well for DC in film has been Superman and Batman.
Old Superman.
Well, right, but the thing is that everybody knows Superman's story, and it's very, very simple, and it's easy to understand. This kid's from another planet. He was raised here. He has powers that make him fly and break things and whatever. Batman is just a dude with cool stuff, but mostly his brain. That's easy to understand. Yeah, and no powers. So that's easy to understand. You can get an audience to wrap their mind around that. But how would you do... I mean, even Wonder Woman is kind of like...
Okay. Wonder Woman has about 7 different concepts rolled into one. There is no translating Wonder Woman cleanly. You've got to cut out a lot of stuff to make Wonder Woman even remotely palatable for a random audience. Yeah. All anybody needs to know about Wonder Woman, and I don't mean to simplify or be, Wonder Woman is to most people just some kind of strong female superhero. I'll bet that there are a lot of women in this world, and this isn't a bet, this is just a thing, I know this is, that respond to Wonder Woman very positively because of what she represents, and that's a good thing, But you ask them to tell you anything about her in any way. Not even not like cryptic continuity stuff, like just where does she come from?
Yeah.
What's Wonder Woman's origin? You don't know that. Wonder Woman's a symbol. Wonder Woman has never managed the penetration that Batman or Superman have managed as far as their origin goes for entering into the public consciousness.
But I think the direct to DVD, Blu-ray did that for her.
Yeah. I mean, I think that was a good film.
Like you said,
solid.
Out in everyday world, people won't know her story.
Some stuff you can get away with in even cartoons that you couldn't cleanly translate that animated film to I mean, it's the closest that they've accomplished. They've come to streamlining the origin down, and still that steps right around the whole ambassador for peace notion. She chops Ares' head off, and it sort of goes on from there.
And she has an invisible plane.
That's always... Gail Simone wrote that film, actually, didn't she? So
did she?
There's no surprise. Yeah, she at least did the story, if not the screenplay. So, much like with Thor, whenever I saw, I didn't know when I watched Thor that Straczynski had done part of the story for that. So when I saw the name come up in the credits afterwards, I was like, oh shit! Well, no wonder it had its shit together, like it knew what it was doing, because you have people like that working on films, they're able to pare it down.
Yeah, I mean, but so I don't know. I mean, that's going to be. I think that's the challenge to DC. Can it make a film about a character in its primary universe, not sub-universe, not a side character that's Marvel-like? I mean, one of its mainline Justice League characters that isn't Batman or Superman.
Well, there only are 3
that works. Well, no. I mean, I'm talking like I said. I mean, it's like you can't do that with classic Green Lantern. I think the current Green Lantern is going to be in question as far as how palatable, how acceptable that movie's going to be. I mean,
I think an awful lot rests on Green Lantern, but I've probably said that before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think I have some modicum of success for DC to penetrate the market with its B-level characters.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is with Green Lantern, I know a lot of people that don't know anything about Green Lantern. That they like the look of the movie. I've had to explain a few things to those people, but but they are still interested in seeing it, even though they don't know a whole lot about Green Lantern.
Well, and I think it depends on how they approach it. If they just kind of say, this is what it is and go on, and the story doesn't require you to understand the elements, that'll work. And I think that, and we can kind of segue this into like our Thor review, because I think that worked in Thor. They didn't take a lot of time to really explain, okay, this is who this person is, and this is what they do, and this is how it works within the cosmos, and this is what this does. They didn't bother with that.
A lot of that stuff can come very organically out of Thor, you know. I mean, for Thor, part of that is because. So, are we going to talk Thor now?
Yeah, let's talk Thor. I was trying to segue away from that and into Thor. So we're into our Thor review. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, for the next few moments, we're going to be reviewing Thor. Complete spoilers are going to be in this review. So if you have not seen Thor yet, you might skip ahead.
Take your earphones.
I don't know, 5-10 minutes. Maybe I'll wave you back on in a minute if you're watching the video. If you're watching the audio.
Do you have a race flag?
Right. Yeah, we'll just run some flags or something. But anyway, so let's get into it. Let's talk about Thor.
It sucked. No one should go see it. It was horrible.
Oh, totally. Shit.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
Oh my God, best film ever.
It was really good. I went and saw the IMAX 3D version.
I did too.
Holy smokes.
Asgard looks great in 3D.
I was so impressed. I kind of had that. I mean, I saw Avatar in IMAX 3D, and that was really, really good. And that film was designed and set for 3D and everything. And then I guess I saw Tron in regular 3D, and that was terrible. And then I saw this, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is amazing.
I don't know. If there was an IMAX 2D version, I'd maybe want to see that. Not see it in 3D.
No. Anyway.
It wasn't made in 3D. They bolted the 3D on after. There wasn't one shot in the entire film when I saw it in 2D where I looked at it and I went, I'm supposed to see that in 3D. It wasn't made for 3D. I
just think I'd like the pillars and stuff, the depth perception of the different realms, that's what the 3D was there for.
No, there were a lot. I mean, even though it was cut and paste version, it was still done really well. I mean, the movement through and everything in 3D
I'm
was
still
really well.
telling everybody to see it in 2D. If you haven't, listeners, see it in 2D.
See it in 3D. Anyway, so story.
Come round there.
Maybe it's because I saw it on IMAX and it was just huge.
Yeah, I imagine IMAX is definitely gonna. Yeah.
Maybe
if you
IMAX,
can see it in IMAX 3D, see that. But if you're stuck with a boring old regular 3D, 2D is the way to go.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, if it's not IMAX 3D, I can't necessarily recommend that. But I'm saying if you can go see the IMAX 3D version, that is the way to go. But anyway, off of that aspect,
the tactical stuff.
Yeah, onto the film and the story itself. I mean, I don't even know. Do we even want to give a synopsis? I guess I assume where people have seen
I don't
this
need to
movie.
give a synopsis. Everybody knows what the film's about.
So,
Greek
Thor
god
does something
spy. He does something stupid. He's
Greek.
banished to Earth.
Greek.
Greek?
Did I say Greek?
Yeah.
I meant Norse.
Norse.
Sorry.
Yeah, and it definitely was sort of a very liberal Marvel Universe version of the Norse gods, because it was like, okay, that's
that
not
was
how.
what I was gonna say when we were segueing in there, was that like with Wonder Woman, you can't do that with Wonder Woman and her pantheon of gods. You know,
Yeah.
The magic is an inherent thing. But with this, they just pushed it just right to keep the majesty and magicalness about the characters without overtly or too heavy-handedly relegating them to just being aliens, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there were certain elements that were kind of odd. I mean, as far as if you're saying they are aliens, there were certain aspects that were hard to explain, to say that they're not gods, but I don't know. I mean, even within the Norse mythology, the Norse gods are not gods in the way that we think of, like, Greco-Roman gods. I mean, Greco-Roman gods, or even, like, Judeo-Christian gods, are much more, you know, they control the elements, they control the world, they shape the world, and those kinds of things. Whereas within the Norse gods, they're much more heroes. They're much more of, there are things to be idolized and things to be, looked upon, but not necessarily, they don't give you gifts and things, not like in the Greco-Roman or Judeo-Christian. But as far as the story goes, I think if you don't know the Norse stories or mythologies,
you'll be fine.
You'll be fine. If you do, there's going to be a couple moments where you're like, hey, wait, no.
But then, to be fair, if you know the legends and you read Thor comics, there will be more than a few moments where you go, "Hey, wait, no."
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, in particular, Loki is that origin is.
Loki's great.
But in fact, my wife's comment was the film should have been called Loki.
I would love to have a spin-off of Loki. My gosh, that would be awesome.
I said it last week without wanting to give too many details away. I said it last time, but it's like Loki really goes on as much of a journey as into villain as Thor does into hero.
I think
this
more
film
so.
ends, and Thor is ready to be a real hero. He's shed the ego that has held him back before. He's ready to be a selfless hero. This film ends, Loki has gone the whole way into villain. He is ready to be the villain of Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure. I mean, it's like every time that film, I said it last week as well, every time I tilted my head and thought, are they gonna... That film did it. Whatever it was like, they go to invade Jotunheim, and I wonder, are they going to play with the fact Loki's a frost giant? And then one of the frost giants grabbed Loki, and he started turning blue. And I was like, they fucking did it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it drove the whole film forward after that. And I was like, I kept going, so how did the frost giants get into Asgard the first time if Loki wasn't evil yet? Oh, he did it because he's a dick. That's right.
Yeah. And that's where I say it's like, I think the Loki journey in some ways was more interesting than Thor's journey, for that aspect, as far as character arc. Because in the beginning, you have very much that trickster version of Loki, where he's like, oh, I just did it because I'm an asshole. That's,
It was the laugh.
it was just for fun and just to screw up Thor's day, which is very much what Loki is like, not only in the mythology, but I think, in the beginning.
I was trying to figure out why it was. I couldn't, how did they get in if Loki wasn't evil yet? And I was like, and then Loki said, that's just a bit of fun on it. And I was like, yes! Of course.
Yeah.
He's a dick. That's perfect.
Yeah. But that was
exactly how that should be.
But what's funny is that was like that little thing led on to his eventual becoming a villain because it opened up that whole can of worms for him. And what's interesting is you see him just continue. It was so perfect because just in particular the way it was written, but also the way it was acted, where he's just continually just sort of pushing down the line. He's sitting there talking to Thor, and he was like, well, you'd have to defy Father to do that. Yeah. Oh, no, don't do that, and it was just perfect. It's just like, he's doing something that's so terrible and that could even get himself killed, and yet he's still pushing the envelope trying to do it, and you see why. And
then it comes out of it, at the end of it, when it gets to the end, it's not even something as petty as violent revenge. It's, Loki plays everybody in that film, it's not just come kill this dude for me and that's it. It's not, he doesn't, because he if Loki wanted somebody dead, he wouldn't have them killed in their sleep. That's not Loki.
No.
It was all to serve Loki's own agenda. Everybody was working against everybody else for Loki in that film.
Mm-hmm.
Pitch fucking perfect.
Yeah.
And he didn't chew the scenery or anything. It was wonderfully understated.
No.
All for that. Want more of him in Avengers. Tom Hiddleston, I think his name is.
Yeah, I think so.
He's not really well known yet, but this will very.
Oh man!
Put him up there.
Thor, on the other hand,
performance-wise,
no,
I will not hear it. He's awesome.
It was. I don't. I guess. It's. This is why I'm reading Journey into Mystery, right? It's not because of Thor, it's because of Loki. Let's be honest. Thor is not necessarily the most interesting character on his own, per se.
No, well, once Thor makes that evolution, there's not an awful lot left to Thor. But Chris Hemsworth, man, I think Chris Hemsworth was just as important to the whole level of charm that film had as Robert Downey Jr. was to Iron Man.
You don't have to be interesting when you have a body like that.
holy
There's that, too,
crap!
you know.
She,
I
mean,
am no woman, but
I was like, whoa. I mean,
I
wow.
wish I had my DVD remote so I could push pause on that one part. It's like, oh my god. Sorry.
no allegations of full muscles or bodysuits with that. I mean, I remember there was when we saw the very first picture, it was like, oh, I'm not sure about that. Costume looks a bit rubby. Then there was that one of him pulling the hammer up, and it was like, check out the tickets to the gun show. Really. Good lord.
Yeah,
but he is so charming as well.
Yeah.
Oh, he's so dreamy, and his eyes. No.
Well, I'm not kidding. When the one part when she's like, "Oh, this is for Facebook," and he's like smiled for her, I'm like, "Oh my god!"
It's like the whole point of the character is that he is a
got
cocky, arrogant guy,
Yeah.
but Helmsworth is really down to Helmsworth, you know, because you could play that, and you could play that in a really like arrogant way, but he plays it just right to convey that he is arrogant enough for it to be holding him back, but without preventing the audience from really, really liking him as a character. Like that scene where he first appears, like he comes into the hall, arms up, hammer in the hand, giant shit-eating grin on his face. I'm gonna be king. Oh, cheer for me, peasants. Might as well have had his cock out and been slapping everybody in the face with it as he went past. But you did not. You loved him for it. Like, it was fantastic. He was
because he sealed it with the wink, you know. That,
Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic.
But I just think, from a writing standpoint, even though it's just, it was okay. I mean, like I said, my problem was I didn't quite. I didn't have the. It was. I kept having the moment where it's like, okay, now is he worthy? Okay, no, I guess not. No, is he worthy now? No.
He has to save Jane's life. That was just clear, waiting for that. There was no question in my mind that that's what we were building towards.
And then he like died-ish, and I was like, what? Really? So Destroyer.
That is what makes you the most worthy, is your willingness to lay down your life for somebody else, which is not something Thor was ever worthy to do, or never willing to do, because Thor is super powerful and super strong, and he could never truly be faced, as a god is immortal, he could never truly be faced with that scenario, so there was never any... if Thor ever lost the fight, all that happened would be get really angry, and he would go off and cause more trouble somewhere else, you know. That's how Thor reacts to these scenarios, so it's the willingness to, well, you know, it's like courage is knowing you will, being afraid and acting anyway. That's what it is. You know? Yeah. I was just waiting for it. Also, the Destroyer.
So Destroyer.
Oh god, the Destroyer. That bit where it turned backwards and inside out.
I mean, it was. I think from an effect standpoint, I think from like an element, it was really interesting. It just kind of seemed. I don't know. It was like, and here's Destroyer. It's like,
well, I kind of like that because, you know, the Destroyer has a whole complex history in and of itself. So the fact that it's just presented here as a security system works within the confines of this film. But if they ever feel they want to expand the world of Thor and build it more on the past, then there's still absolutely room to do that within the confines of what it did in that film, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It could certainly be brought back without any difficulty.
And I thought pace-wise, time-wise, I thought the movie moved fairly well. I didn't.
Oh yeah.
I didn't feel any big lags or anything.
I mean, I said it last week again. I was really surprised at how they continuously balanced the Earth and Asgard stuff, because I really just expected the Asgard stuff to step out of the picture while Thor was on Earth. But because Loki had his own story working, and because they did such a good job with the Warriors 3 as well, who none of them who had any kind of particular arc to go through. Even Heimdall had a little arc to get through, and that was great. Oh god, Idris Elba was just terrifyingly grandiose in that role. Again, but without chewing on the scenery. It's like, what was that bit where there was the idea that like even Odin feared him a little because he could see everything, and it's like, well, I would fear that dude. Because have you seen him?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Amy was saying this. She's like, I didn't feel like I needed to look at my clock, and I'm like, I agree. That's how I could tell if a movie holds my interest. How many times I look at my watch. I didn't look once.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I thought. Yeah, absolutely.
I clicked on with like maybe an extra 10, 20 minutes.
Well, and that'll be on the DVD.
Just because I wanted more of it.
a director's cut. The one thing that I wish they would have gone in to explain, and I had explained this to my friend that I saw this movie, was the whole thing with the Odin sleep.
Yeah,
Wish they would have explained that a little bit, because people were like, why is he sleeping at a time like this? You know?
It's not a nap,
that's like
kids.
the one element that they didn't set up. They just had him over. And I mean, they do have Frigga say like that it's something that he has put off, and that he does it. He's doing it to recharge his powers or whatever. But it does just kind of flop into the film from nowhere, really. I mean, as somebody who reads the comics and knows what it is, I don't have a problem with it, but absolutely acknowledge that.
Like I said, I had explained to my friend what it was about, and she was still even a little confused when I tried to explain it to her. I'm like, well, just think of this. It was a way to set up, Loki's last surprise or whatever. So.
I remember when I first encountered the Odin sleep in the comic as well. It hadn't it was Dan Jurgens' Thor, and it hadn't been particularly set up there at all, and I was like, is this a thing? Is this a thing that exists already? This is kind of lame. Even when I first encountered it in the comics. And it was.
I must have missed it, but you were did you say last week there was a Watcher? I didn't see a Watcher.
No.
Did I miss it?
I don't know
No.
Watcher.
Okay, someone was telling me there was a Watcher in the movie. I'm like, what? I didn't see it, if there was. So.
Not that I'm aware of.
No, and I think I know that you had mentioned this on Twitter, but as far as I didn't notice, I couldn't tell what any of the other things in the treasure vault were.
You would have assumed that they were supposed, because you had the Infinity Gauntlet prop was shown at one of the, and I think maybe I saw a glimpse of it, but big, whenever the Destroyer blasted somebody backwards and shot past it from a distance. But that's because it was brighter than everything else around it. And I thought, oh, that must be the Gauntlet. We only got to look at two other things from behind, and none of them looked like anything I could recognize. So I don't know if they're supposed to be real things or not.
Well, and that's, I mean...
It's like a missed opportunity, if not, but...
yeah, there would have, that would have been really cool to throw some extra stuff in there. So, extra stuff, Hawkeye was...
that was wicked cool.
Yeah.
See, my brother, I knew about Hawkeye, but my brother didn't know about Hawkeye. Now, my brother went out to see it just as I came back in from seeing it. He didn't waste any time either. He didn't know about Hawkeye, but he figured out who it was when they talked about needing an eye in the sky. And
nice.
Then they mentioned Barton by name as well.
Well, and it was as soon as he went for the gun and then reached for the bow, I was like, oh, okay, here we go.
And, what did he speak? Like three sentences, and it was pure Hawkeye as well.
Yeah.
Better make the call soon. I'm starting to root for this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, that was nice. It was a good intro. So hopefully everybody stayed for the end credits as well.
Easter egg.
So, I wouldn't say it was, I don't know what I was expecting, but, it was sort of like, oh, okay, we'll just lead straight into Captain America then, because, I think it had already been known that the Cosmic Cube was going to be involved in,
But I did not realize it was the Cosmic Cube, honestly. I looked at the thing, and I was just looking at it at the wrong angle. I was looking at it, and I was like, a blue plate. What is it? I wasn't seeing the third dimension. I was like, if you're going to show me a cube, don't show me it from straight down,
Yeah.
Cubes don't work like that.
Well, if you would have seen it in IMAX 3D, then...
I was more excited, spoiler, about the return of Loki at the end of...
Yes.
Yeah, well, I knew that was going to happen.
I know, but I was so happy because he just had that final look. Oh my gosh.
And kind of pulling the strings on that guy now.
Loki, he had the best word of the movie. I love that line. Damn.
Well, and there was other references. There was a reference to Bruce Banner at one point.
Stark, of course, as well.
The Donald Blake thing seemed a bit forced.
Yeah, well, I
think
guess
so.
it was just a way... Well, is it forced, really, whenever you don't know who Donald Blake is?
I guess not.
But maybe it's not like they gave Thor a limp and a walking stick and gave him a medical degree, No. It's just that now Donald Blake, for 5 minutes, Donald Blake was Thor's alias on Earth.
Right.
Yeah,
and that was one of those things that was... Yeah, I think it was probably more of a fan nod. But maybe, and that's maybe where it fell down.
Yeah.
In terms of it being a fan nod, it was sort of like, really? Okay. Because
for
Donald...
a film that didn't seem to worry itself too much about doing that sort of thing.
When was...
For the links it was trying to forge, it was all really about just trying to forge the cinematic universe. I mean, the thing about Thor in general was that it didn't... It's really unusual. It's exactly like Iron Man in a way, in that it just takes the comic and just throws it at you. It's just here's the comic. Just check it out. It's like, but whereas Iron Man has the much more grounded story that you can do that with. There's no need for some kind of gritty reboot to try and simplify down the ideas. It doesn't go full magic and myth, and it doesn't try to be like, it doesn't try to have its tongue in its cheek about the rather silly nature of the thing. It just takes it, treats it with just the right amount of respect, and presents it to you as is. Take it or leave it. And I will take it, and I will take all of it and more of it, please.
What did you guys think of the designs of the Frost Giants?
Well, when I think of Frost Giants, I do think towering ice beasts.
Mm-hmm.
But Frost Giants have appeared in both those ways in comics. So.
Yeah. I thought, not being extremely familiar with Ice Giants, I thought that, it looked visually okay. Those parts of the film were notoriously dark as far as the lighting anyway. So, I don't know,
See that in 2D, you don't have as much trouble.
Oh, wow. Nice.
I like the look of it in 3D. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No,
but I'm also one of the few people that like 3D. So.
Mm-hmm. I like it for some things that, like I said, for this it worked. So, I guess the only other thing I guess we should mention is Jane Foster.
Yeah, she's kind of the bit you can kind of leave out when you're talking about all the awesome stuff in the film. She does a perfectly good job.
I thought the performance was fine. I thought it was written poorly.
I don't know.
It was very flat. It was, as far as the way that character is scripted, it was very predictable and flat. And I didn't...
Maybe it's just that Natalie Portman isn't convincing as an astrophysicist.
Honestly, I didn't have a problem with that. But
she wasn't convincing as a ballerina either. Sorry to say.
Yeah. Well, that's because they had someone else doing that. So anyway, she didn't actually do 85%. Okay. No, I think it was just it was just sort of forced.
Honestly, I think she was overshadowed by Darcy. Darcy pulled that trio together with her quick one-liners. If they didn't have Darcy, Jane, they've just...
Jane was too much...
I hear a lot of people moaning about Darcy, complaining about it. What the hell? She
think she was the most...
a dozen lines.
I thought she was the most realistic character.
At different times. And I didn't hate the character, but she made me laugh. Yeah, I liked her.
She's got it. She's got her degree in poli-sci.
Poli-sci, that was hilarious. I thought that she was the most realistic of the characters. It was just, Eric, between Eric and Jane, I felt like both of those characters were sort of archetypes rather than being living, breathing characters. And,
Jane Foster has the problem of there's always the problem with Jane Foster, and it's something that plagues a lot of 1960s supporting role heroines, is that they are first and foremost there to be the hero's girl.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to try and do something with them beyond that, and she didn't quite get beyond that, because a lot of what she was doing here was like, "Oh, Thor, you are the key to science."
Yeah. So I long for an interesting female character within the Marvel universe. Hopefully they'll.
Well, what about Sif?
I thought do an awful lot.
She didn't do a lot. I think that she was.
She
blended into the Warriors 3
on the token side. It's not like anything that those characters did could not have just been done by the Warriors 3 alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So by adding Sif in there, felt like they were just trying to have another kick butt female character.
Xena,
but
as they said.
that was it.
That was a great line.
Although I didn't notice it right away, I think adding Sif to the Warriors 3 and just tipping the balance in that way does kind of draw attention to the fact Baldur's not anywhere to be seen. Because Baldur and Sif are kind of like, it's like equal. Thor, Baldur and Sif, Warriors 3. A little pyramid.
I was trying to look for him when you said the table.
Oh, yeah, and I missed that. Yeah.
I was trying to look for him, but I wasn't sure.
Apparently, like Louise Simonson and Walter Simonson and someone else are in that scene as well, all done up in robes and armor.
Oh wow!
You know what, when I get the DVD, if I go watch it again, I'll have to sit there and stare at that.
I may have been imagining it though when I said I saw Baldur. It was just, but he, by putting Sif in with the Warriors 3, his absence is then a bit more felt because, Sif is supposed to be Thor's lady,
yeah,
and you have him, swooning over Jane Foster. You got a conflict of interest there, so Sif ultimately really just seems to have been. Cause, I mean, they know that though, so they didn't play with it at all. So really, she did just seem to be there because they needed a few more women in the cast. Speaking of the Warriors 3, though, Volstagg was awesome.
Yeah, Volstagg awesome.
Volstagg's awesome,
Brian Blessed or anything, but the Warriors 3 are pretty archetypical characters, but Hogan only said like 2 lines, and that's pure Hogan, But I suppose, I have heard people say like, oh, well, he said nothing. What's up with that? And I was like, yeah, it's Hogan the Grim, man. He just says things whenever they need to be said. No, everybody shuts up.
He had a few lines in a scene.
Yeah, a few lines, but not too many compared to. There's like Fandral. And you tell me Kenneth Branagh 15, 20 years ago could not have played Fandral.
Oh yeah, easy,
total
easy.
And I wasn't sure what way they were going to go with Volstagg right away, but then when they had that scene and it was just
yeah.
Okay, well,
they're getting it right.
I think we're forgetting a character here. What about Odin?
Yeah, and I was just about to say that. I think we can cap it with Odin. I think again, it was Anthony Hopkins, which I thought, I think he did a great job. But I think, again, they played more archetype, but it's kind of like we said about Odin a couple weeks ago. Odin can be whatever you need him to be. And
I think Tony Hopkins kind of quickly does a circuit through all of them in the course of the film. Really angry dad, wily politician, loving king, warlord. All of these things happen in the span of I don't think you really get the feel for Odin as any one of those things in the course of the film, but it is Tony Hopkins bellowing at you. So that bit where Thor's like, "I am king of Asgard," he said, "But you're not," and it was like,
"Oh yeah, that was like, I'm sorry." Like even me, I'm like seeing it. I was like, "I'm sorry," and I didn't. Don't hit me.
I'm sorry. I like the part where he came in and saved the day. That's that was an awesome scene. They did a great job with that. So.
And Kal-El Prime is showing his ignorance in the chat by just accusing Odin of having some weird mutant horse. JD, would you like to?
Some weird mutant horse. Okay, well, Sleipnir in the mythology does have 8 legs. So, yes. So, in the sense...
I geeked out when I saw that. I was like,
okay.
Let's go fucking 8 legs on it. Yes, that's right. They're doing it right.
Yep.
Why you brought up this? Why you brought up Dave's name? Let me tell you something. He's a DC fanboy. This is what has got him into reading Marvel comics now, and so also with Amy, Lady Wreck, they don't know a whole story about Thor. So I say read these comics, but go back and read your Norse mythology because there's a lot of things in the movie that's little touches here and there.
Yeah, it does and doesn't. There, like I said, like Odin's eye, like that thing, that piece was like, I almost wanted to cry. I was like,
wow.
That's, shut up. That's it.
I just did that in one of the previous cycles of Ragnarok.
That was, but the Odin's eye thing, that's such a huge part of that character to me. So it was like, to have him just lose it in battle is just kind of like, really? No.
Evidently he went off in the middle of battle and had to pull it out to figure out how to end the war.
Yes, that's what it was. He stopped in the middle of battle, went to the Well of Mimir, and then pulled his eye out to be given knowledge.
But he had all these funky patches too, man. He had like 3 different ones, didn't he? He had a gold one, a silver one, and a black
Dress
one.
patch, casual patch.
Casual patch, you know.
That guy's has to accessorize. Now he just needs to teach Wonder Woman how to accessorize hers.
Right. Well.
Sorry.
Yeah. You know,
For those who want more Thor after seeing, since we're talking about people now who are jumping on, are interested after seeing this, J. Michael Straczynski's Thor.
Yes,
That's your starting place for modern Thor.
Modern
You
Thor.
can ease yourself into the world of Thor with that. That's a slightly more mythological take than this film offers. And then we can send you back in time for the quality stuff, like Walt Simonson.
what the Jurgen stuff is the stuff that's
you
supposed
The
to
Jurgen stuff.
Jurgens?
Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes. They had a story on Thor, and I thought they did a good job with that story. I'd say go back and watch
Asgard's
that.
really at the heart of the season-long story arc of the first season of Avengers. That show, and Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes, and so definitely the world is ready for more Thor.
Now, did either one of you watch those web videos, Blood Brothers?
You know, I still haven't.
No.
You know what? It is very well done. Again, if you like Loki, if you like any story about Loki, this is a story that you guys need to go watch. It's
actually it's not a straight up motion comic because it's more animated than that, but it is based on a comic from a couple of years ago it was just called Loki, and it's just been reprinted as an oversized hardcover called Thor and Loki, because you got to have Thor's name on the cover now because Thor is marketable. Called Blood Brothers, and
it's very well done.
So yeah, I'll have to check that out. But yeah, but like I said, I don't know, I loved Loki still.
I
loved
it too.
But just
like when I studied the Norse mythology, I loved Loki more than anyone. For some reason, he was the character I was just like, oh, what's he going to do next?
Well, and that's the thing in the mythology is that, I mean, really Loki and Thor are sort of tied at the hip. I mean, you know, Loki is constantly at Thor's side, you know, egging him on or, you know, pushing him along or just doing things to screw with him. You know, like I think one of my favorite stories is when, like, Loki shaves Sif's head, and you know,
Loki is insane, and that's why I love him.
Now that was another element that was changed from the mythology where I was like, but you know, anyway, when they're boys and he's walking him through the room, and then the hammer is there, I was like, no, Loki.
That's pure Marvel.
Yeah, I know, but it's still like,
Marvel,
damn. Yeah,
I mean, yes, compare with, say, the recent Loki miniseries where it just retells the origin as true, but standard Marvel history has Thor constantly trying to lift the hammer as a child, trying to prove himself worthy as a child.
Yeah.
There was a series about it called Tales of Asgard. As a matter of fact, that's due to come out. There's the next animated Marvel movie is Thor: Tales of Asgard, based. I'm not sure to what extent, but it's based on this story of Thor, Sif, and Loki as
May
children.
17th.
17th?
Oh, well, it's not too far away, actually.
Yeah, it is 17th.
Talking about that week after next, then.
So there you go.
So it's about Thor and Loki, and at least the comic is Thor, Loki, and Sif as children.
Oh.
And
So
Thor
overall-
striving to prove himself to lift the hammer.
Overall, with the movie,
Oh yeah.
out of 10 stars,
10 stars.
10, how would you say it was?
2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up out of 10 stars.
Yes.
Out of 10 stars. I give it 2 thumbs up.
Stars. I don't like to apply numerical values.
Yeah, I mean, it's I can't really do that. I mean, like I said, the effects were amazing. Bifrost was really freaking cool.
It's awesome.
You know,
I thought it was a little bit too tech. Honestly, I wanted a little bit more shades of mysticism from that.
Well, but that's the thing.
You kind of expect the teleporter
we
noise.
go back to a year or so ago when we were talking, and how do you introduce Thor, who's this mythological character, into the grounded Marvel film universe?
But I think every other element in how they treated the gods was just the right balance between mystic and tech. I just think the bridge leaned a little too tech for me.
Yeah.
When he basically, the fact that he actually slid his sword in and turned it to turn it on. Like,
yeah, and they did that in Gleipnir too. Yeah. Gleipnir was able to activate it as well.
Well, that's Odin.
Well, yeah. But,
I only
Loki
have
did
one
it with
major
Gleipnir.
issue with this movie.
Huh?
I'll tell you what. Okay, you remember when Thor was going to retrieve his hammer and he's fighting all the bad guys? Well, they grabbed his shirt and it didn't come off.
Oh, well,
It was
I
supposed to
know.
come off. Dang it!
So,
Maybe they'll CGI edit the.
there you go.
The alternate take, yeah.
Right. So, oh yeah. But anyway, good
I
flick.
think it's definitely on a par with Iron Man 1.
Yeah. Oh, easily Iron Man 1. Iron Man 2, not so great. But
Obviously.
Iron Man 1, good stuff.
Wow,
So,
we've been going like almost an hour.
I know. We haven't even started
Yeah,
reviewing
exactly.
comics yet. We're usually at our stop.
We're going to have to try and bang out the comics a little fast this
Okay,
week.
that's
Yeah.
not a problem. Well,
No,
boom, boom,
that'll
boom.
be fine. I don't even think there's any news worth covering. So,
Well, I have a little news I actually do want to bring
okay.
up.
Well, let's do that, and then we'll do some reviews.
So Thor was good, yeah? Yeah.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
Thor good. Okay, waving it. Come back if you're watching the video.
Yeah, if they left when we started talking about Thor. Yeah,
The people
probably
clip.
find
There's
something
like
else.
45 minutes. Jesus fucking Christ! What? God.
Proves if you haven't seen it, you need to go see it. We talked 45
Right.
minutes on it.
And you can see more tonight when you watch Screen View, brought to you by the TF Radio Network. Anyway, news.
Yes, the news. It's all about Thor this week, but we did also get a new Green Lantern trailer.
Oh yes, we did, didn't we?
We
With
did. I really think that this was the trailer that pushed Green Lantern into epic territory.
yes,
Yes.
Yeah, I thought this trailer was pitch perfect in the sense that I think it conveyed the elements that I wanted to see out of it. I mean, Kilowog talking, awesome. Sinestro, Guardians,
Yeah, even a glimpse of a Guardian.
yes. So
Sinestro giving the whole narration for the trailer as well did the job
Yes.
very nicely. And it pushed Parallax up to actually showing us what level of a threat we're talking about in this film. It is a real Coast City devastating looking threat, so you get that it's more than just some kind of personal fight we'll be seeing as well. Yeah, and the music just sold it as pretty epic as well.
yeah, so very solid. If you haven't seen that trailer,
Yeah.
definitely
So-
check it out.
It may
Here-
also be because I'm on the other side of Thor now that I'm allowed to get more excited for films that come after it, because that's been standing in the way of my anticipation for a lot of films.
What is next?
Okay.
Is it X-Men that's next?
X-Men, yeah.
Okay.
About a month.
So, what do you think? Do you think that DC could topple over Thor with Green Lantern? Out of the two, which one do you think will do more? As of right now, because I'm looking at the totals, Thor has done 66 million U.S. and 176 million foreign. So it's already made its budget in 2 days, pretty much.
Well, and there's a lot of promotion budget and stuff that's in there still, but
I think each one is about as hard to sell as the other
yeah,
to the main world. I mean, Thor did have the advantage of the hammer popping up in Iron Man 2, but I don't think that built a lot of anticipation for Thor. And Green Lantern, I don't know, I'm too close to Green Lantern, being that he's just what's hot in comics right now, so I'm a little too close
Yeah.
to him to
I'd
make an
say-
accurate judgment on
I'd say
how...
if anything, the cast gives Thor a bit of an edge. I think people
yeah,
are going to
actually,
be
you could be on
willing
But
to
then
go
the
see-
ladies do like Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, but I think as far as just general audience, it's like if you have a film that's about Green Lantern, Space Cop with Ryan Reynolds, and then there's a bunch of other people that you may not be familiar with, or you've got Thor with some unknown buff guy and Anthony Hopkins,
Now, do you think? Okay, because I'm trying to stay away from as many spoilers as possible with the Green Lantern. Are they just sticking with the Green Lanterns, or are they going to introduce the whole core?
I would say
it's-
they'll just limit it to green for now.
Okay.
you mean the whole rainbow?
Yeah, the whole spectrum.
It looks like. I mean, as far as just watching
they're
the.
going to have to explain Sinestro.
Well,
right?
I think they're getting into the yellow. I mean, I'm sure that by the end of it they'll get into the yellow corruption and Sinestro, but you don't have to introduce the
If they
whole
go that
rainbow
route, yeah.
core to do that. I mean, Sinestro used a yellow power ring that they never explained how it worked for decades. Before Jeff Johns finally got around to this whole fear concept and the emotional spectrum and adding the colors in. So, I mean, that's not a required element. I mean, all you really need to know about Sinestro, as far as evil Sinestro, is he's a dude that got kicked out of the Corps, found another power ring that's yellow. That was the thing that was always weak. The green light was always weak.
What an amazing coincidence!
Yeah, and so that just made him.
It was, though. I mean, that was just the shtick of it. And then Jeff Jones came swooping in with Rebirth and put all this stuff together. And it suddenly made sense after decades. And you looked at it and you went, shit, was this planned 50 years ago? Because it makes too much damn sense for me.
No. I mean, but yeah, and that's... So I think that they'll get into at least that, base level coverage of it. But as far as seeing full, Star Sapphires and Red Lanterns and all that stuff.
Go back to that.
I honestly hope they don't do that.
No, I mean that is way too complex, unnecessary.
I could see them losing it. Like if this is any modicum of success, with the inherently logical step of Sinestro being the villain of the second film and going evil, I could see them just like Jeff Johns, like loosen his inner fanboy and just doing Blackest Night for the third film.
Oh God, let's hope not.
I know, not necessarily a good idea, but it's inherently
possible. Well, I mean, and you can't even do Blackest Night without dead heroes. I mean, how are you even going to get
just regular zombies?
No, that would even that's even more terrible. Come on, I mean, but who knows? That's my other. I'm sorry. Now that you've ruined me now, McFeely, because you mentioned last week about all the costumes showing up just to be stuff for DC Direct to sell, and now I can't read a freaking DC comic without going DC Direct, DC Direct, DC Direct. It's just like
what are you seeing that's new? What have they done recently?
I don't know. I mean, it's like all this stuff with Flashpoint. It's just.
Oh God, yeah, DC Direct. Fuck's sake, yeah.
I mean, even in the back. I mean. I'm not going to review it, but even in the back of the free comic from yesterday is the whole list of not only figures that you can get from DC Direct, but all the Flashpoint, which is ridiculous.
Flashpoint figures already. I know, what the hell.
I know
it's not even out yet. It could be shit, and nobody will want them. Jesus, guys.
This June list of the Flashpoint comics is redonkulous. By the way,
well, how many do they have on there? What is it? 20?
Oh my God,
20 comics.
Yeah,
22 if you include Booster Gold and Flashpoint itself.
I mean. To expect any type of fan to actually think about picking all of them up, that's stupid.
I got 2 customers done for everything.
Are you
2 customers
serious?
Done for everything? Mm-hmm. Wow.
What do they do for a living?
I and there's so much of the stuff I just do not care. I mean, the few I could pick out. I mean, obviously I'll have Booster, and I'll do the primary Flashpoint. Maybe
I can tell I'm getting Citizen Cold. That's it.
Reverse Flash, I'll probably do.
Absolutely, that's not being written by Jeff Jones. So if it's of any important relation to the Flashpoint series, it's going to be written by Jeff Jones, and it's not by. So I'm not reading it.
Okay, well, whatever.
I'm afraid I'm approaching this with far too hard-nosed and cynical an attitude. But whenever you see 20 comics looking back at you, it's like just suck on that.
Yeah. So, anyway, we should review comics unless there's other news.
Wait, there's one more little bit of news.
Okay.
There was some Ultimate news happened this week. Did you see the Ultimate news?
I saw that there was Ultimate news, but I couldn't figure out what it was because...
Well, the Ultimate news is that after Ultimate Spider-Man dies. I don't know, actually, to be honest, I'm starting to think they might. It's
starting to look like it, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really starting to look that way. Because we're getting a big Ultimate Universe relaunch after that. We get this Ultimate Fallout miniseries, which follows on from that. Then we're getting the Ultimates, Ultimate X-Men, and an Ultimate Hawkeye miniseries, and Ultimate Spider-Man is relaunching from #1 again.
Ugh.
Now, I never really saw myself getting particularly invested in the Ultimate Universe after this all happened, but Bendis isn't going anywhere. Bendis is still writing Ultimate Spider-Man with Sarah Pichelli as the artist. Like her, she's good. She's the one who replaced David LaFuente before Mark Bagley came in and stormed all over it. She's good, like her. It's the other books I never really saw myself getting back into after Joe Madureira destroyed the Ultimates so badly that Mark Millar couldn't fix it even when he came back. The Ultimates by Jonathan Hickman.
Ooh.
And Esad Ribic, the artist of Loki and Thor Blood Brothers.
Ooh.
Ooh, indeed.
Ooh.
Ultimate X-Men by Nick Spencer.
Oh.
Oh. And Paco Medina, current artist of the X-Men and various other things. Deadpool.
Oh.
And the Ultimate Hawkeye miniseries by Hickman.
Ooh.
With Rafa Sandoval, who's done the Ultimate Enemy Mystery Doom trilogy with Bendis recently. So, damn.
Yeah.
That's 3 comics I'll be reading.
Yeah. Hickman, sign me up. So, I don't know. I mean, I say that. I just don't care about Ultimate still. But, well, I don't know. We'll see. I'll let you get, like, the first couple issues and then let me know if it's good, I guess. So, but still, that's exciting news for the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah, and that doesn't happen very often anymore. So
yeah, even when Death of Spider-Man's kind of like, oh, that's great. So, but yeah, so it is kind of looking like actually Spider-Man might die. As far as who's taking over, that doesn't. Who knows? Mm-hmm. So, anyway, okay, is that all the news? You're good.
Yes, I am good.
You're good. Okay. Well, since we do not
I will permit you to proceed.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Well, since we do not have Triplet this week, we will start with Nicole.
Okay. Well, I'll make it quick. So I'm going to talk about the one of the few that I paid for this week besides all the free comics. Man, I got to stack this thick of comics this week. So I'm going to talk about one of my favorites, is Weird Worlds. Again, this is the short 3 stories about Lobo, Garbage Man, and and Tanga. So basically, with the story of Lobo, he is still trying to get his money that he feels like he rightfully owns. This storyline wasn't that great. Again, it's just mostly a bunch of fighting. And then his friend that is with him. In the last comics, we were introduced to Slang. He was kind of like this godlike creature with all of his little minions. They were the ones that were attacking the ship. But they've pictured him, they don't consider him a god, but someone of higher authority. Well, he gets to have these little creatures work well for him. And again, a lot of fighting. Nothing a whole lot going on. They finally get to the very end where the guy who's going to be paying the ransom, spoiler alert, is Slang's father. Well, guess what? He feels like his son's of no use, and he shoots him. That's it. That's basically the story. Not really impressive. Again, no. So I'm gonna skip to the third story of Tanga. Her story is very similar. She just got done fighting this creature, and they're all hailing her as this goddess. And so they're going to take her to meet their fearless leader that really didn't do anything for him, except for the only thing that he wants to do is pretty much get in her pants. And I love her attitude. She's like, I don't think so. And she basically leaves the world. And she actually says this is one weird world. But this is what I want to talk to you about, is Garbage Man. Now, you guys have heard me. I love Garbage Man. The reason why I like him is because we finally get to understand why Batman plays a part in this. And you can see this really cool story here. Now, if you like Batman, you need to pick this up. So he finally picks up on his train to go into Gotham, and he runs into a preacher man who tries to tell him and tries to save him from his tales of woe. And he kind of relates to him because he's a hobo and, Garbage Man. He doesn't feel like he'll ever be a part of anything. But this guy's very comforting and tells him there is hope, and he's going to help him out. And then so he's on his way to Gotham. Garbage Man is still left in the woods. But this is what I said. You got to get Batman in here. He is showing that he's finding some mutant goo from Garbage Man. And so he's investigating it. And he is going to be pretty much making a new little thing for himself with this finding. So again, it's just 3 short stories, nothing
What issue number is this of Bird Wilson at
This
point?
one is 5 of 6. So,
5 of 6,
like
really
I said,
over
this is the one comic that it seems kind of it's all right out of the whole series, but I have a feeling a lot is going to be going on with the last issue. The second and third issue, a lot happened. It seems like the last two, it's mostly set up for a big surprise ending. So, again, just 3 short stories. I'll go on really quick here with one of the free comics I got this week. It's the G.I. Joe one. Let me tell you something. For a free comic book, oh my gosh, I have to give it to IDW. It's not really a double issue, but it's a lot longer than just a single issue. It gives you a lot of insight of what's going on with the storyline. If you don't know this, I'm going to spoil the crap out of it. So, Cobra Commander has found out that he has a son, and yeah.
Okay.
And so, but his son,
is this new material, or is this a reprint of an older issue?
No, this is new. This is actually 155
How
point
is there still
and
a
half.
Cobra Commander? Oh, okay, right. Sorry, this is
This is the Real American Hero. Yeah,
Okay,
this is a different continuity. So he has his son, but his son in the previous issue has been against him, and he's been trying to fight a retaliation against. They're called the Anti-Cobras, and so his Cobra Commander has captured him and has pretty much swiped his brain. And they have Storm Shadow training him to be a ninja. Well, his son starts to get these memories back, and he's starting to rebel against his father again. Well, guess what? His father doesn't like that, so he gets Mindbender to do his dirty work. But there's also a little side issue here where kind of Cobra Commander almost looks like an Iron Man. He's testing out a new jetpack, which is an ultimate defense system. But so you can see that. Let's see, I'm going through it really quick. Sorry. This was the interesting point about this issue is Baroness and Destro are witnessing Cobra Commander torturing his son. And Baroness has got the emotion of this is wrong. To see her have that kind of emotion is just like, ooh, what's going to go on with her? And so she walks away because she asks Destro, it says, how soon before I know I have to go into that machine? And Destro just looks at her. And so she walks off. So maybe they had plans to do this to her. And basically, that's the story. You mostly get the story of Cobra Commander's son and what's going on. But let me tell you, for a free issue, this was amazing. The artwork and the details, it's just, I mean, if you're not into G.I. Joe, you should probably pick this up just so you could get a little background, because at the very end, they do tell you about Billy, who's Cobra Commander's son. It tells you more about the brain scanner, how it works. I mean, they've got a lot of details in here.
Brainwave scanner.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is one of the pieces. I don't know if you can really see that very well, but the artwork's just amazing.
Who's on the art for this? Who's doing the art?
Where did I see it? Let's see. It's not at the beginning. Where we go here? Was it at the end? Oh, here we go. Sorry. Artist is Agustin Padilla. Did I say that right?
Familiar. Sounds familiar.
Writer is Larry Hama.
Now, is this an original? Because IDW, I don't think you've typically been given to publishing original free comics, because it sounds more like a reprint of an issue.
From what I know, because I came into G.I. Joe just maybe a year ago. As far as I know, this is fairly new. So, again, it's issue 155.5. So.
Oh well, 155. Oh,
Yeah.
155.5 was the first new issue of the Real American Hero continuity that they did. Well, this new series picks up from where the Marvel comics left off. So that's definitely
Either.
been available before, but I can't remember
Yeah.
in what
You know what?
capacity.
It's awesome. I don't care. It was good.
I'm
No matter what.
not judging on it, just trying to figure out for myself.
No, yeah, because like I said, I'm fairly new to the All American Hero. I've mostly been reading the Origins. The Origins is awesome, by the way. So I just recently have gotten into the Real American Hero line. So, but this
The
is
height of my read
great.
is their classic reprint trades of the Real American Hero
Yeah.
stuff. So I haven't read that yet, but I will read it whenever they complete their
Oh yeah,
Real American Hero, and I get to go back.
It's great. And just one other quick review. It's another free comic was The Dark Crystal. It's only 8 pages long, but it was a great setup for what is going to be coming out this fall. The artwork, very deep, a lot of details, especially with the Skeksis. Again, the one creature of the Muppets to really freak me out. Okay, so basically it is the setup of the story that you've seen before.
So
in the
are the
movie.
comics an adaptation of the film? Is it more about the world?
Right now, it's just an introduction. Like I said, it's only 8 pages long. You get to know a little bit. I can't remember her name here. Agara, is that her name? Agara. She's the witch.
I've never watched Dark Crystal.
You never have? Oh my gosh.
I've seen bits of it. Burn the witch.
Yeah, well, you get to learn about her history and her son, and then they just barely introduce the Dark Crystal. That's the last page, is the Dark Crystal and the Skeksis, how this world has been perfect and everything is going right, but the time has become where everything becomes dark. And so, because the world splits in two, and so it's kind of like a shattered glass kind of thing, you got the light and the dark. So that was a really good read for a free comic. So
Nice.
8 pages, that's it. So
Oh.
there you go. That's it.
Okay. I am going to start with Secret Six.
Might I propose you start with the other one, because I gotta excuse myself for a little bit.
Okay, well that's easy enough then.
All right,
I will
then.
not
Back in a
start with
second,
Secret
folks.
Six. I will start with Amazing Spider-Man. Now, this was the free comic from Marvel. Now, let me tell you about the difference. We talked about this, but let me talk to you about the difference between free comic book offering between Marvel and DC. Okay? DC offers you a 2-year-old Secret Origins issue 2 Jeff Johns written, which is not bad, but I mean, it's old and you probably have read it, and not only that, it's like freaking Green Lantern origin story, which if you don't know that story, what the hell is wrong with you? I mean, seriously, lame, okay? And then like a 2-page preview for Flashpoint, which will undoubtedly be in the issue of The Flash, which comes out next week. So, crap. Marvel, on the other hand, gives you a brand new story written by Dan Slott, drawn by Humberto Ramos, who had done art on Spider-Man before. This is an all-new story, okay? This is a great story. Not just all new, but all great. And
I just got like halfway through. This is what I was reading while we were getting ready.
Man. And
It is good.
free given to me. My thing was, I felt like I got what I paid for out of my free DC issue. I would have paid $4 for this.
Mm-hmm.
So, what was the other? Was there another offering from DC that wasn't? I mean, what
DC had this one was kind of fun. It was the DC Kids.
Oh.
It was for the kids one. I picked up that one. Let's see. No, that's Dynamite. IDW. I'm looking through my comics. Sorry, as you can tell, I've got
Yeah, a ton.
huge stack
Wow,
here.
nice. Yeah.
Well, because my comic book guy knows I do a podcast, and so he's like, "Here, take all this stuff." He pulled them for me, so he knows what I like.
So,
yeah, that's the only other thing I have from DC is the DC Kids thing.
Lovely.
So.
There was another one from Marvel as well, but oh yeah, Brave and the Bold Young Justice. I didn't read that either, just because I just didn't care that much. But still, I mean, if you're talking about primary universe offerings, these were the two primary universe. There was a kiddie version of an all ages version of Captain America and Thor as well. So but these comparing these two is apples to apples in that respect. But yeah, I understand what you're saying, Kal-El Prime. I understand. So yes, there was other stuff, but anyway, so this story starts off with Madam Web sort of talking about the web of Peter's life and how he's got some tests yet to come. Not least of which is getting his holy crap beat out of him by Spider-Woman.
I love this. This was so awesome. Can I tell you, I love this woman.
Oh man! Now she's being controlled here by the Mandrill, which is like, when was the Mandrill? I mean, I haven't seen him in a while.
I haven't even heard of that name for a while.
I think he made an appearance in the Avengers, I think, in one episode of that, but anyway, the deal is that he can control her with pheromones, and since she's pheromone based, it's even more so.
You could pretty much say that about any woman.
Yeah, but she's just beating the snot out of Peter here, because Peter lost his spider sense several issues back, and he's still kind of been trying to compensate for that. But Madam Web actually invites, I cannot remember his name.
I think that's the part I got to.
Master of Kung Fu. Is McFeely even listening?
Shang-Chi, I am listening, but I'm going to have to pull the ear out if we're going to be dropping the bomb that Shang-Chi is in this.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry. That is it.
Unless it's the cat.
No, it's him. It's Shang-Chi. The one that had the weird dad. Anyway.
Fu Manchu.
Yeah. Anyway, so the deal is Peter finally ends up overcoming Spider-Woman, but with his smarts more so than his fighting prowess. He finds a bunch of perfume and is able to overpower Mandrill's pheromone attack. But he does sort of come to the realization that he continually gets the snot beat out of him without having his spider sense, and so after the fight, Shang-Chi shows up and basically says, "Hey, Spider-Man, saw you fighting." And Spider-Man's like, "What's the deal? You didn't step in and help." He's like, "Oh, no, that would have disturbed the balance." Spider-Man's like, "Screw the balance. I got my ass kicked."
He got what? I mean, here, I'm going to show you. Look at that.
She just wallots on him. I don't know.
She just, wow. This is not a woman to be messed with.
But Peter, talking to him, finally gets the bright idea that, hey, this guy's a master of Kung Fu. I should know Kung Fu, because that could help. Which is the whole reason, Madam Web had him show up anyway. So Peter now starts training, but with an inhibitor collar, so he can't use his powers. And so he goes, there's a whole beautiful 2-page panel of just different web and stuff of him, training and then trying to use his training as he, is fighting other villains and things. And he gets down to the end, and Shang-Chi's like, "Okay, cool. Well, now we can take the inhibitor collar off." And Spider-Man's like, "Awesome, I'm done." He's like, "Nope, you're halfway there. Now we start training with your actual powers and incorporating all that." So, no, we got some more work to do. But then, the last page is, Madam Web kind of talking about now how there's a slim hope, because even now, there's someone, winning the marathon with this, incredible fastest speed, and a woman ripping the door off her car to save her child, that basically it's the introduction to Spider Island.
Well, that's another bit of news, I forgot to mention. Nick Spencer, once again, writing a Cloak and Dagger miniseries that's going to be tying in with Spider Island.
So.
And it's being drawn by Emma Rios, the artist of Osborn.
Oh.
Who we like on this show.
Oh, yeah. And then there's just like a little 2-page introduction to some of the story elements and things that will be coming up, talking about Peter and different things, MJ hanging from a building and stuff.
I like this 2-page spread that they have here at the end.
With, with all the this one with the stuff
the
coming
fights.
up and the Sinister Six and everything. So yeah, I think that's nice. And then in case you had missed it, there's like a few pages of that backup with Sin getting the hammer, or starting to. So not really a backup, but it's the first few pages of the Fear itself where Sin shows up and is starting to take the hammer. So
Sin.
nice though. I mean, free, awesome for free, way awesome for free. I mean, and that was like the comments about. I saw several retweets that Dan Slott had retweeted, and it was not, basically along the same lines as me that I would have paid for that issue. I mean, it is just a fun read. There's a lot of universe little comments that Dan Slott made. It's funny. There's some great jokes in there. I mean, I've given you the story overview, but that does not tell you anything about the comic. I mean, there's so many things that are in there worth the read. So,
Well, you know what's really weird? Okay, you know how this little thing with Fear itself, the Sin one?
Mhm.
I could have got these 6 pages instead of paying for it. No, that big one that I had, the spectacular one that I saw, the Sins Past, basically all the new stuff that they have, it was in this free issue.
Oh, nice.
But you know
So-
what? That was still a good issue. But
Oh, yeah.
that's so whatever you needed to read about the Sins Past, there you go.
So sorry if you missed out on the free comic book day for Spider-Man, because
Yeah.
man, that was good
Yeah.
stuff. So, okay, on to Sinister Six, Secret Six, rather. Sorry.
Oh, they're sinister.
Sinister would be cool. Sinister. This issue should be Sinister Six, because wow.
If you're not reading the series, why not? Hello?
Oh man. Gail.
Oh,
We love you, Gail, and this is twisted, dark stuff.
I love this.
So screwed up. I mean, you start at the beginning, which, I mean, this 3-part has really beautifully trailed one into the other. The first thing that's sort of interesting that happens, at least from an artistic standpoint, is the team gets offered the opportunity to sort of become demons in hell and to sort of, become like assistants to Ragdoll. And they all become like demonic versions of themselves, which is awesome. I mean,
I mean, if you're Brazil, you might as well dress the part, right?
yeah. Oh man, like King Shark has this like full plate armor on, and Bane has this like just sort of dark, spiky. Oh, it's I don't even know. It's just I'll try to show you there, but I mean, wow, nice stuff. So then they have a bit of a dilemma because it's sort of like that. Is it better to be a servant in heaven or to rule in hell? And so they have this sort of option where it's like, well, we can stay here in hell and we can become, sort of lording over part of this place and at least have sort of a niche for ourselves. Or we can try to fight our way out, might not even survive doing that, and then what? Just get delayed in the process of eventually ending up here anyway. And Deadshot sort of answers that question for everybody by shooting Ragdoll in the head. Because they're really, like, debating. They're, like, gonna vote. And Deadshot's like, whatever. Blam.
I think Deadshot remembers the last time they tried taking a vote on something to go after Catwoman and Cat's in the Cradle and how well that turned out.
Yeah. So he's like, screw it. We'll just go. But we cut back to Catman's story, which the last time he had found his father.
This is the best thing in the entire
This
comic.
is so
This-
twisted.
This
and
is
so
very twisted. Oh my
screwed up.
god.
So he finds his father. His father's eyes are hollowed out, essentially. And
See, I don't remember that from the last issue.
well, I
But
don't
we
think
didn't really
you
get a look at him.
Yeah. He kind of flashes back to being a kid and having, shot his father and mother or whatever. And
Cat's in the Cradle.
Cats in the Cradle, which is great. If you haven't read it, the trade is out. Yes, you need to read it.
Good stuff.
So he starts talking to his dad, and he's explaining that his mother is going to be there any minute, and that essentially what happens, or what you find out, is that every day he's devoured by a lion version of Catman's mother. And it's like, he talks about the horror of it, just like every time it's, excruciatingly painful and to be just devoured and
Yeah, and then pooped out. And
and then turned into
pooped out.
excrement. Yeah, and then, sort of essentially regenerated just to start the whole process over again. And Catman's...
That sounds like hell to me.
Yeah. And Catman's just sort of like, awesome! Good on you, Dad. We'll enjoy that. He's like, no, you gotta help me. Like, it's always me with
this
you, Dad.
Awesome.
It's like, good talk.
Catman is maybe going to be a little bit more well-adjusted after this story.
Yeah, I think
the
so.
fact it took a trip to hell to do that is so messed up.
Now, that's not even, to me, the most screwed up part of this. Because as they're walking, like, he actually talks to his mother for a minute, and as they're walking away, he makes a comment where he felt, like his mother should have been in heaven. And Etrigan basically explains, like, oh, no, this is her heaven. Like, this is what she wanted to do. Like, she is more than happy doing this for the rest of eternity. Like, that is fucked up and awesome.
Clouds and angels, paradise, the line of reward sometimes blurs. For if you can pay the asking price, you choose your heaven, and this is hers. Fucking praise.
So the rest of the six begins to fight the hordes of hell. And that's basically what's going on. I mean, essentially, Scandal is trying to reconnect with, what is her name again? No, I can never remember.
Knockout.
Knockout. Yeah, it's such an odd name. I don't know why that doesn't stick with me. Anyway, and trying to reconnect with her. There's just a brief cut again to this, like, girlfriend of this other girl.
This plot not resolved in the span of these 3 issues. No surprise by that.
Mm-hmm.
And there is some comment about it too later. So I think.
This plot is. I mean, as much as they've advertised this as a 3-parter, the story is not over with this.
No.
This is the Darkest House. They've called this. Presumably, the next issue will be the Darkest House epilogue. Yeah, I'm guessing.
So as they're fighting and brawling around, Lady Blaze shows up.
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, So
nobody read Rain in Hell.
Yeah, nobody cares. But you do get to see sort of glimpses of different members of the Six's versions of hell.
That's too brilliant as well. Being tortured, nightmarish vision of how he was a child in prison. Deadshot assaulted by the undead corpses of all the fathers and family men that he's killed. Jean remembers whenever she was the bride, whenever one of her husbands from many years gone by killed her when she found out she was a banshee. King Shark, tuxedo, limousine, women, photographers, restaurant, sits down. Wait, there's no meat on here. Mr. Shark tells a little joke, of course. This restaurant is 100% vegetarian. No!
That's the capper. It's like, that is brilliant.
It's like, please let King Shark be here forever and ever.
God, and you can tell that Gail loves King Shark too. I mean,
I love this character. I mean, I wish they would have more of him, but he's just a fun character.
Well, with King Shark, if you go too far, too fast,
Yeah, that's true.
I still love her comments about him, but you don't understand. He's a shark.
Yes, that's his thing.
Yeah.
He's a shark.
He's a shark. Anyway, so more convincing of Knockout, and then eventually they just leave.
Yeah.
For some reason, they just leave. That's the part that confuses. The only confusing part to me is it just sort of seems like it's sort of like, well, you'll be back, so you can go. I don't know, but
I think it's like she took pity on them because Scandal challenges Lady Blaze to combat for everybody, and that gives her a chuckle. So it's like, well, all right.
Yeah.
You know what? Just for that.
If you make
just this once.
Yeah. Just this once, I'll let you all go. Because you're going to be back anyway.
Back anyways.
Yeah, exactly. And that was like, oh, man. So.
Well, the thing is, what I guess what gets down
And also,
here is the thing with Scandal having to choose between a couple different people.
Mhm.
that's a far greater
Love.
torment that she'll enjoy
Yeah.
as well. Because
So
she tells her that's why I think the next one's got to be the epilogue. Because she tells her here, if she uses the card to free Knockdown, then that means that her girlfriend in the real world is going to come down here very soon.
Right, and that's
So
where
this is the catch-22 that we figured that we were going to see at the climax of the story.
And but this comes back to like the whole issue with Scandal anyway, is that she has this issue with her partners where they become sort of disposable, and and yet even she'll try to hang on to them in a way, but yet she sort of isn't really able to build lasting attachments to them. I mean, Knockout is the thing, but yet she has a girlfriend right now, and so, and then, what's to say that she brings Knockout back and then she doesn't start fancying somebody else, So, and this is what's, again, is brilliant and something that you can do with these villain stories as well, is that, they're villainous. They're not good people.
that's what makes the story work, though. We say it every month.
Yeah.
It just
there's
works.
no-
Bad
there's no
people being
willing to
bad,
Yeah. McFeely says it best. It's terrible people doing
terrible
Terrible.
things.
to each
But
other.
there's no way out of this. I mean, it's like maybe a hero could find a way out, and that would probably usually involve a lot of muscular posturing and threatening the devil down and getting him to back down. Secret Six not going to happen. What's probably going to happen here is Knockdown is going to have to stay dead. I mean, it'll basically be a coming to terms story from Scandal, where she really has to accept that's it.
Yeah.
I still think something's going to go on with Bane.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Bane's going to try to make himself a better man. He's going to try to undo all of his wrongs, because I think he had the biggest revelation in the last issue. So
Yeah, it would seem so. Although I've almost forgot to
Your
mention
soul
the
obey.
best line in the whole thing, which is, I cannot remember the guy's name again, that was Merkel's friend.
Parademon.
Huh? Parademon.
Wednesday is hot poker day.
Just like, oh, man. Good stuff. So anyway, there you go. Secret
Always
Six.
a good zingy one-liner. But that's what we always say about Secret Six, is that we can just sit here and quote the comic.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
yeah.
Someday this will be a terribly romantic story. Not so much, with an awful abduction in hell and all that.
Yeah. We need to have you do dramatic readings of this, McFeely. That's fine.
just your ragdoll. You
I'm
got to do
sure
your
that Gail
ragdoll.
Simone would go for that.
Trying
Anyway.
to put together a plan to do some dramatic reading videos for YouTube in the near future.
Ooh, that would be excellent. So, all right, sir, carry it away. Take it on. Get us out of here.
Okay, what do I got? Starting this week with my ever-continuing quest to do something new every week. Moon Knight, number one. Woo! Moon Knight, the first of the urban street-level hero relaunches, the big shots relaunches that Marvel are doing at the moment. This month we have Moon Knight by Bendis and Alex Maleev, the team that brought you Daredevil and other things together.
Oh,
Whether
yay.
to pick this up or not. So
No,
this
I
will be
don't blame you for debating on it. See, the big shots
Because it's
launches
advertised like
are-
no other.
Absolutely. The big shots launches are Moon Knight, Daredevil, and Punisher. Greg Rucka on Punisher, that's enough to open some eyes. Mark Waid on Daredevil, eye-opener again. I keep asking myself, does Daredevil really need it? Because he's still been in the public eye, and his sales have been pretty solid. Unlike Moon Knight and Punisher, who keep having ongoings cancelled, miniseries is cancelled, one-shots, tie-ins,
I
just
think
a
people are
desperate
sick of
struggle to
Punisher
keep them
stuff
alive.
because it
Yeah,
seems like
but Greg Rucka on Punisher will be good, and that will sell. That is news. That is good.
well, hopefully they do
I
something
just keep
different. I think
wondering
people are
why
just
they
sick of Punisher because it's just the same story regenerated.
Punisher lives eternally in the shadow of everything Garth Ennis did with the character for 10 years, and it's never been able to get out of it at this point. But I always keep saying to myself that it feels to me... I mean, Daredevil, over the last, maybe could be close to 10 years, under Brubaker and Bendis and Diggle, his universe has progressively tightened and tightened around him to where it's to a point now that the character's kind of trapped and they have to do this tearing down and restarting so they can do anything new with Daredevil. But I always keep thinking like Ghost Rider it should be in there instead of Daredevil, because he, like Punisher and Moon Knight is the one who said the miniseries, ongoing, cancelled miniseries to wrap things up format. And he seems like he deserves it. Honestly, he deserves it a bit more than Moon Knight. Now, I like Moon Knight. I do. I don't have a huge attachment to Moon Knight. I've read several Moon Knight stories that I've enjoyed. And I like the hook of Moon Knight as a character. But Marvel seem a little reluctant to just accept that he's not very popular and won't let him go. It's like Black Panther. It's one of those scenarios. They just won't stop. They keep thumping them out. So they've gone with a high-profile creative team in the form of Bendis and Malieve. And I will be honest, the presence of Bendis, of that creative team, is what has convinced me to pick up this new issue #1. But I have to say, we'll talk about the issue first. It's not too much. We start off with a recap of Moon Knight's origin, which was when mercenary Mark Spector was shot and left to die by his partner Bushman and collapsed in front of the statue of the moon god Khonshu in a temple, and then awoke, healed of his injuries, believing that it was the moon god's work and that he would be this Khonshu, the god's knight of vengeance. So he became the Moon Knight. Now, it turns out that this is a TV series. What we've actually seen, the first couple of pages are a televised version of the Moon Knight origin story, which he, under his civilian guise, as See, the thing about Moon Knight is he's 4 people. He's Moon Knight. He's really Mark Spector. That's who he is. His day-to-day, the face that he shows the world is Stephen Grant, rich playboy and financier. And when he needs information off the streets, he's Jake Lockley, cabbie. And these multiple personalities, these have evolved into full-fledged multiple personalities and caused him to have more than one psychotic episode in the past. But that's not at the fore here. It turns out that he has moved out to the West Coast. To the West Coast. Remember where in the world he was, because I don't know where.
Where in the world is Moon Knight? There we go.
Well, he's moved out here to start up an entertainment business. But no sooner as he got started on this, premiering his new show, than Captain America, Wolverine, and Spider-Man come calling to let him know that there's been a substantial migration of criminal activity to the West Coast. And so they need Moon Knight the Avenger to get out there and investigate.
Presumably because the villains in the Marvel Universe, much like we have figured out for a long time, have realized that most of the heroes are centered around New York.
Every once in a while somebody does a story about this. Like, that's the whole hook of Runaways, is that there's nobody out there. So their parents dominated the super crime market on the West Coast because there were no super villains out there.
Yeah.
This leads Moon Knight into a confrontation with Mr. Hyde, who I'm pretty sure is appearing in another comic this month and doesn't have time to be on the West Coast. Who is here to sell some mysterious merchandise to 2 rather hapless little fellows who don't survive the experience whenever they find themselves unable to present Mr. Hyde with his money. And it turns out, I was rather surprised to see the return page, I'll just tell you, it turns out that Mr. Hyde is selling an Ultron.
What?
It's all about the Ultron at the moment.
It was random. It was like, what? Why is there an Ultron?
I know it's
How did he get it?
Exactly. Well, that's the question.
The 2 men that didn't survive the experience are the operatives of the true villain of the piece, who appears here as a mysterious glowing figure that destroys the boat and reclaims and takes the Ultron body. He only appears as a glowing figure in the sky, seems to be able to telekinesis or something, maybe magnetism. He elevates the Ultron body out of the wreckage, but Moon Knight gets away with the head, and hey, it's time to get the Avengers in to deal with this business. So that's the issue. Now, it's a good, solid comic. It is. And I'll tell you what. I would like this a lot more if I wasn't Bendis out.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. I don't think Bendis is anywhere near as much of a draw as he was anymore. And I don't think seeing Bendis' name on the cover is going to necessarily give this book the lifespan that it needs. I'm going to come back and check out the next issue. I enjoyed this one. But honestly, the presence of Ultron was so random. And, I mean, since Bendis tried starting to write really big superhero... When he came on to write, like, superhero comics, outside of the solo stuff like Ultimate Spider-Man, which is a different animal, when he started writing the Avengers, he turned up Avengers Disassembled, which was shit. It was terrible. And then he started writing New Avengers, and
as much as it's become an internet whine, I still stand by my belief that it didn't really work. It didn't really feel like the Avengers. It didn't come together as a book until after Civil War, whenever it became about the underground Avengers who were fighting Registration, and I think it became a really solid book that came into its own at that point. That was also the point where Bendis started writing Mighty Avengers, the government-sponsored team that was supposed to be the really true Avengers, and when he really started to try and write standard, cosmic, fantastical Avengers stories. Who was the first villain? Ultron. He starts writing the Avengers series now, after the Heroic Age. Who's the first villain? Ultron. He kicks off a new Moon Knight series, which is heavily focused on his role as an Avenger, and not just as a lone Avenger of the Night. What's the villain at the heart of the thing? Ultron. It's like, what is up with that? It's like Ultron is what Bendis defaults to when he tries to emphasize the mainstream superheroic nature of something. I don't get that. Lovely art, And
Malev's art in this is beautiful.
Oh yeah, great. I mean, Malev has done a couple of dodgy bits and pieces in recent memory. He did do the Dark Reign, the Cabal story, didn't he? Where Namor looked like this greasy, fat Italian. It was remarkably bad. Yeah, I think that was Malev. And I really enjoyed the exchange between the two henchmen that Moon Knight.
Yes.
Yeah, but I would enjoy it more if I just wasn't so familiar with Bendis, because we Transformers fans, we got our Furmanisms. I mean, this is just Bendisisms.
Mm-hmm.
There is so little in this that is strikingly original, and I just don't think Bendis is the draw that he was that brings anything new. I mean, certainly the setup is new, moving Moon Knight to the West Coast, having him stand out there alone. That's interesting. Get behind that. And of course you set up a central mystery right away. It's intriguing. But I'm a little puzzled by the Ultron choice, and he just seems to have become a Bendis thing. And I get enough Bendis from all the other books I read from him, honestly. I don't know what this brings that is... I can see what it's bringing to Moon Knight, the character, that is new, but I don't see what this book is really offering that any other Bendis book is not. It's like it rests a touch uncomfortably somewhere between the standard Avengers work he's doing and the more noirish work that he's done on things like Goldfish and Jenks, and then to sort of extent like Alias and other detective mystery books like that. Yeah, I'm not sure I get it, but I'm going to check out an issue or two more yet.
Now, I may be wrong, but my impression when you go to that last page, because in the page before they're showing Wolverine, Spider-Man,
I know where you're going to go with this,
Captain America, and then they're not there, I get the impression that they were never there.
Shit.
They were there in his head, but they were never there.
Oh my god, I did not get that. Oh shit, oh my god.
So,
damn.
I don't know if that makes it a little more interesting or not.
More interested in this comic.
Okay.
Oh I was looking at that last page and I was like, what am I supposed to be seeing here? Are those canisters in the background supposed to be something? I thought they were at the other end of the table for some reason. Oh shit, that's fascinating.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Turned around on this now, yeah. That's a lot more interesting all of a sudden. Wow, I am annoyed with myself that I didn't see. But that's it. I read this and I was kind of going through the motions when I read this, because it's like, yeah, this is competent, but it's like, what is it offering me, And I was like, I was so desensitized by the whole, just the familiarity of the whole Bendis-y nature of the thing. I didn't even pick up on that. Oh, damn. Okay, so I think what I was talking about is about his psychosis at the start. I mean, that sometimes becomes a problem, is that when it comes to Moon Knight, there's a temptation, much like North Star can do nothing but be gay when he appears, or Venom nowadays can do nothing but eat brains when he appears, because of what Warren Ellis did with him and his Thunderbolts. Sometimes all Moon Knight can do now is be crazy, even though there are other routes you can take with the character. But that's a new one, and I did not even get that.
I mean, I may be wrong, because you could be right. They
could
be at the other
totally
end.
Freaking right. They are standing behind him on the other pages, and they are not there on the last page. I was like, why is this page... I mean, I looked at it and I went, why is this page so big and empty? What am I supposed to be seeing? It didn't even register that it's what I was not... I was supposed to be not seeing something. Oh, I feel... Oh, I suck.
I'm sorry, do you want to go back and do your review again?
That is uncharacteristically unobservant of me, I have to say.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, that was an epic moment.
I'm sorry.
Well, I think it also helps to punctuate the blasé approach I was taking to the comic.
Yeah.
Well, it's,
Okay, so maybe digest that a little bit and then come back.
let's talk about some.
Okay. All right. Anyway, Moon Knight may be better than he thought.
I thought it was. Yes, it may be.
Because that was the moment. I mean, I think I would agree with you up until that last page. Because it's when I hit that last page, I go, "Oh shit, they weren't even there." That was all. Oh, interesting.
Now I've got to pick this up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, on the subject then of a comic that's a little bit more does what it says on the tin, Avengers Academy, issue 13 this week. I haven't been talking about Avengers Academy too much recently, but that's because I haven't had too much to say about it. It's just been of continuous quality. This is issue 13 of the series, commemorating the end of the first year. It's not been a year in real time in the comic, because comic time, but it's like this is the prom issue. This is their superhero prom issue for their school,
so cool.
Avengers Academy school. So it's commemorating like the end of our first year with the characters in the comic with a prom, and it's got guest appearances by the young characters from the Young Allies and characters from the Initiative as well, which was the previous like iteration of the Avengers Academy, and there is no real story to this. This is kind of like a connection of little subplots between various characters that have spilled over. Now, after the events of last issue, which involved a bit of time and space spending to beat the villain Korvac, Reptile, who you may know from the Superhero Squad cartoon if you haven't been reading Avengers Academy, has become trapped in the body of himself in his 30s, his future body, to beat Korvac. They were bodies, their own bodies from the future were brought back in time for them, so for their minds to inhabit. But Reptile has wound up stuck because of some subconscious desire to be older. So he has a few awkward encounters with much younger ladies that don't go over too well. This is I'm going to hold up the screen here. This is Komodo from the Initiative. She is a lizard
cool.
lady, and so whenever she hears that he's a reptile shapeshifter who appears to be in his 30s and single, that sounds like, you know, she takes a notion to that, and then he tells her.
But isn't she a lot younger than him?
She's in her she'd be in her 20s, early 20s.
Oh, okay.
But she also says she's done with men her own age. Because she's had a couple of problems in the course of the Initiative. Yeah, she had some man trouble. But he just tells her that he's really 16, and she goes, "What? You're going to get me arrested?" But this leads to a bit of a fight between her and him and Komodo's old boyfriend Hardball as well. So that is unpleasant. But Hardball and Komodo aren't together anymore either. Again, these are characters from the Initiative. So if you read the Initiative, there'll be a lot in this for you as well. There's another, like, you know how I always talk about, I like it when authors use continuity as a tool and not a weapon. So whenever Bendis wrote, I don't want to bash Bendis again, but remember when Bendis wrote Mighty Avengers, and he had Tigra hook up with Hank Pym in that, only to later reveal that the Hank in question was a Skrull imposter. That was shits and giggles. That was, Frank Cho is my artist. Frank Cho thinks Tigra is sexy. I need to hook Hank up with somebody for a wee comedy scene so that the Wasp can interrupt them and awkwardness can ensue. Frank thinks Tigra is sexy. We'll use Tigra. Christos. Gage remembers that Hank and Tigra had a very brief thing in West Coast Avengers in the late 80s, early 90s, and has built upon it here to forge a rather twisted relationship between the characters, because in the late stages of the Avengers, it turned out Tigra had actually gotten pregnant off of the Skrull Hank Pym imposter, and then proceeded to have his baby, because she's a cat, and cats have babies in 2 months, so they sidestepped comic time very handily there.
Wow.
But in the course of Academy, it's turned out that the Skrull, well, as we knew at the time, the Skrulls were perfectly genetically duplicating the people that they were impersonating. So genetically, this kid is Hank's, even though he had no hand in the conception.
Oh.
Wow.
Yes.
That would suck.
Totally. I mean, Hank is not a family man, but they're chaperoning the dance. Tiger and Hank are chaperoning the prom, and they're talking while they do an awkward slow dance as they keep an eye on the kids. And Tiger just explains how it all happened. He said the right things at the right time. She was feeling vulnerable, whatever. And Hank just sort of chuckles to himself and is like, God, they really were duplicating us perfectly. Because those were the sorts of things I wanted to say to you back when. And Tiger, there's a moment of silence, and then Tiger's like, my room. 5 minutes.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, off they slope. Which, as you might expect, leads chaos to ensue at the prom. Things build up without them there. Firestar is here and finds out that Justice is presently boning Ultra Girl. She knew that they were going. She knew Justice and Firestar were long-term relationship in the Pages of New Warriors, and they broke up a couple of years ago. They were going to get married, but they broke off a couple of years ago. And in this issue, we found out Justice always wanted to save himself from marriage when he was with her, but not with Ultra Girl. So she's not happy about that. Metal overhears Hazmat talking about how every guy, also who appears briefly in this issue, is a great character named Butterball, who was a one-shot issue character.
Butter boy or butter ball, like the turkey?
Butterball.
Ah.
Wow.
His power is that he is completely impervious. He appeared in one issue, the 13th issue of the Initiative, and he washed out because he's not very good. His only power is that he is impervious. He can't be hurt at all by anything. So Vale is like, hey, well, Hazmat. Hazmat's the one, if you're not paying attention, she's the one with, like, her body is toxic. Every emission from her body, from sweat to tears to saliva, is completely toxic and will kill. So Vale suggests that maybe she's going to go with Butterball. But Butterball is a round little fellow who is... and so when Metal overhears Hazmat talking about how the only guys that she can touch are ugly, he takes it the wrong way and goes out and punches his statues in his eye. Now, you guys know that I latched onto Metal quite quickly, and he has definitely been playing the B-list role in this series so far. But Hazmat comes out and sits next to him, and they have a bit of a chat. And Hazmat says, so everyone says they think we should end up together just because we can... not kill each other, because Metal's impervious to her powers. And she says, or do they see something we don't? And Metal just goes, I don't know. And then Hazmat's the one who says, maybe we should give it a shot. And it's like, yay! I'm happy for them.
Yay for romance.
Yay, indeed. And, well, basically, yay for romance is kind of the theme of this issue, because Justice and Firestar reconcile when Justice basically explains he genuinely saw a future with Firestar, so he wanted to wait, but he doesn't see one with Ultra Girl. But then that's a whole other problem in and of itself. Stryker's going around grabbing the asses of any women who'll dance with him, and that's leading to a few bent elbows. And people are generally just making their peace with one another. And Spider-Girl and Reptile, who have a bit of a thing start to brew in the Avengers Academy Giant Size one-shot, which also came out this week, and which is decent, but not great. They have a slightly awkward conversation, and when she ultimately admits that she liked him the way he was, poof, he turns back to normal. And that was yay, too, because I really figured he was going to stay stuck like that for a while, and they were going to go some length with that, but he turns back to normal, and it all turns out well. But Hardball takes this in the wrong way, because he says, you could turn back any time you wanted, could you? So you embarrassed my girlfriend deliberately. So Speedball has to get in the middle of that fight. Hardball starts slinging around the energy spheres that he can create. Speedball's like, you think you're pretty tough with energy balls, huh? Learn from the master! And Speedball floods the room with energy balls. Hank and Jan get interrupted by Jocasta telling them that there's an incident at the dance. And when they arrive, basically, it turns out Speedball's flooded the entire place with balls, and everybody's having a fantastic time.
Wow.
And it is just a great feel-good issue. It is a denouement to the whole first year of the comic. Not all the plots are wrapped up. We got Reptile reveals that to finesse that he knows she's secretly studying with Quicksilver to learn the lessons that he knows from Magneto that the other teachers won't teach them. So all these plots are still in play. Just because things are happy right now does not mean they're going to stay that way. And new things begin as well, like the potential relationship between Reptile and Spider-Girl, and what's happening with Metal and Hazmat, and Hank and Jan, of course. It's just feel good. And I like that every once in a while. These kids have had a hard time the last year. And particularly for Metal and Hazmat, I hope things work out to some extent there. Just a real feel-good comic that I really enjoyed. I enjoy every issue of Avengers Academy. This is a little different because it's about giving them some good times instead of putting them through the ringer, and it's kind of something they deserve, and I enjoyed it. And you can pretty much read it in isolation as well. I'm not sure, the continuity points enhance it for me, and having been through it all with the characters over the past year, maybe obviously it's going to mean a little more, but it's a pretty neat self-contained story that just warms the cockles. Avengers Academy.
Nice. Okay, then. That leads us to Fear itself.
Yay!
Yes.
Where is it?
I don't know, McFeely, but I'm going to have you lead the charge, sir.
Here it is. Well, I think this is going to be a little bit of a short one.
Yeah. It's not really a lot to it, to be honest.
Because we all remember the issue of Blackest Night, where the rings flew around and created lanterns out of other DC heroes.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what this issue is.
Yeah, that's what this is. Yep.
We kick off with the Asgardians returning to Asgard space and Odin using his power to recreate Asgard there, chaining up Thor. And then, literally, the entire rest of the issue is the Hammers, which the Serpent summoned. Yeah, and they're still only referring to him as the Serpent, so I stand by my belief that they're not revealing his name deliberately in some kind of mythological connection.
Yeah.
These hammers that he summoned down from space fall on different parts of the world, and we meet, through a series, basically, of vignettes, the first half of our worthy. Now, I thought there were 7, but there's an implication here that there's an 8th hammer that we're waiting on as well, so I don't know. This issue, Juggernaut, Hulk, Titania, and, although we don't see it happen, Atuma get their hammers, and they become possessed by various Egyptian gods, who I would imagine are real gods. Necrod, breaker of oceans, Skirn, breaker of men, Null, breaker of worlds, and Kurth, breaker of stone.
I tried to look them up, but I didn't see them, so...
They may not be real things. They kind of sound like the made-up names you would give things that aren't Norse gods, but you want to try and make things are. This is basically set up part 2. That happens, the Serpent sends out his forces to wreak terror across the world and prepare for his coming. And we get a selection of, if this was a DC comic, new action figures for DC Direct to bring out, but it's not, so I don't know.
Yeah.
We got another half of the, when we get it, there's one falls on Paris, and we get the Grey Gargoyle and a cameo. So, yeah, I think I was pretty solid in that analysis of the Thor .1 issue we got a couple of weeks ago where we reintroduced the Grey Gargoyle. I want to believe that's what this was for. Yeah, so I don't really have much to add. I mean, what can we say about this? It's a perfectly solid, entertaining issue.
I don't know, Capitol building in Washington, D.C. being blown up while Sin riding in her,
her Nazi-mobile?
Nazi-mobile while it's holding her hammer. Which is kind of awesome.
I gotta say, I like the couple pages with the Hulks.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was so cute for some reason.
Yeah.
I just like the look of their face. It's so cute. I don't know if you can see that or not.
So, the look of the Juggernaut one I like.
Titania's gonna go and lead Absorbing. We know Absorbing Man is one of the. Well, I don't know if it's been actively confirmed, but you'd have to be a bit dim to have not figured out off solicitations that Absorbing Man is going to be one of the worthy, because there's an issue of Avengers Academy about to come up with the Fear Itself tie-in, which is Giant Man versus Censored. And it's like, yeah, that's the Absorbing Man after they last had a bad fight in issue 7 and it didn't turn out well for the Absorbing Man, so that's going to be the rematch for that there. But yeah, it is just a bit of a character, Rota.
Yeah, so who do you feel like the serpent is?
Well,
Any clue?
this last page.
I know. It's...
JD, you probably know what I'm thinking based off this last page.
Oh, that it is like the world serpent, like the
The last panel of the page shows this green swirl of energy spreading across the earth, and that puts me in mind of the Midgard serpent, Jormungandr, which is a giant serpent from Norse mythology, which encircles the world, and which Thor has fought and I'm sure killed on at least one, or on several occasions, and I'm sure killed on at least one. And it is just a giant serpent. So I really don't know. I mean, serpent is not a word you want to throw around in association with Norse mythology too freely, because
so
it
many.
immediately calls to mind that specifically, and there are others.
Well,
but
I mean, the two big ones it pulls to mind is the Midgard serpent and then the world serpent, because you also have the world serpent that's gnawing on the roots of Yggdrasil. So there's that one as well, right? Mm-hmm. You know,
I'm not
not familiar with that one. Yeah, there is another serpent that actually chews on the roots of Yggdrasil. So it could be that as well. I don't know. There's even a different serpent that is tormenting Loki. That's his
dripping poison into his eyes. That one.
And that's his child. So I don't know. I mean, yeah.
Well, so isn't the world serpent? No, the world serpent's not his, is it?
No. The world serpent is chained at the bottom of the ocean. Thor, that's part of one of his early deals.
Thor has fought it. Yeah, well, Ragnarok says that when the two of them kill each other in combat, it's when Ragnarok will happen.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, again, mostly. I mean, there's a couple interesting nuggets in here. The hammer that fell on Yancey Street is advertised as the title of the next story, and we do see in this issue where exactly that has happened. So yeah, cameo by the Future Foundation as well. So that automatically makes me smile when other books remember that that's happening.
Yay, continuity.
Yeah, but it feels like this is just kind of like setup 2.0.
As I was going to say, this is a great setup issue. That the first issue was amazing, but this one is a good setup issue for what's to come. So.
Yeah, it doesn't move things along. I mean, it just really reminded me of the issue of Blackest Night where you had the rings flying around. Now, the thing about that was that was on the skip week. It was the only book that shipped that week. So if you didn't go to your comic shop, then there was no way really to avoid the house ad that revealed all that. So if you read Blackest Night number 6, having seen the house ad, you read the issue already because that was all it was. Now they've sat on the worthy a little better, but I think Titania really was about the only one that we didn't know about at this stage. We'd seen the Hulk, and the fact that there was going to... I think we'd seen Juggernaut as well, hadn't we? Certainly
we did see Juggernaut.
Tie-in issues. And
Hulk, Juggernaut, and Grey Gargoyles ones I think that we had
Grey Gargoyle, yeah. Well, and given the fact that one of the Deep miniseries, The Fear Itself, the Deep miniseries, was about Namor and it was set in the ocean, to me seemed like pretty lucky choice. I do like this little last page on here where it's follow the Absorbing Man's hammer quest into Iron Man 2.0, Loki's decision and journey into mystery, and the Grey Gargoyle's transformation in Invincible Iron Man 504. I do like that.
Yeah.
It tells you where to go. I like those.
Hey, you want to read
You don't have to, but it'll help you. Come back next time.
As opposed to, say, I don't know, Flashpoint, which just gives you a whole page worth of comics to buy.
This is quite methodical. It puts me in mind, not that it's a good thing to be put in mind of, but it does put me in mind of Secret Wars 2, which did a similar thing.
Yeah. So
follow the story into... Because I'm not sure if there are any other comics this month that have specific... Obviously, there are miniseries. Yes, the Homefront came out again this week, and Spidey's mini started this week as well. But it seems like they're only actively advertising the issues of regular comics. Because I don't think there are any other regular ongoings that have tie-ins this month besides these three.
Well, the thing is, with this issue, I thought this could have been like the first issue. And the last issue could have been a standalone itself.
I don't know. I mean,
well, the last issue was already so big. There was definitely no putting any of this into the first issue, so I can't really fault them for it. But
no, don't get me wrong. This is a good issue.
Good, yes.
But
whenever so much of the advertising had already focused on the worthy, and we still don't even have all of them now. and the story doesn't really get started until they're in motion. And
yeah,
it's like,
I think it's like this is something that you have to just get through.
Yeah.
It's like this is
but
that
yeah,
issue.
It's not that this is like decompressed. This is not Secret Invasion when they spend 5 issues running around the Savage Land. There was absolutely no getting this into the first issue. That first issue was literally double sized, and it was crammed, and there was still no getting this in there. This is
that last issue was just amazing. Amazing.
So. Awesome.
Yeah, if anyone likes Thor out there that's listening, if you like the movie, this is a series that's going to be really good.
Yeah, then some Thor tie-in. Yeah, absolutely. So, and
Probably
Journey
more advisable than the Mighty Thor.
And we get Journey comes up next week, right?
Journey's the book to get.
Yeah, which it is now. Now I am reading that. So
good man.
I know. So
I'll have to put that on my list, my long list.
Oh man. So, okay. Hey, holy crap, we've got to get out of here.
I think so.
What a long, great show, though. Good stuff there.
Well, we had so much to talk about. I mean, a lot happened this weekend.
Yeah.
I don't know about
Imagine if Triplet had been here.
Oh, man. We really would be going straight into Screen View right after this show. Speaking of which, Screen View premieres today in about 40 minutes, actually. Which is going to be the review show. We are going to start with Thor. I'm going to be on that show. I don't know who else is going to be there, but anyway, should be a good cast. Should be really interesting. We'll be talking Thor. So if you listen to our review,
are you going to be talking shirtless Thor?
I will bring that up if nothing else. I do think it is a bit penis heavy though, so. I don't know how good the reception is going to be on that, but I will definitely try to bring that up as you had mentioned, and I don't know how you can miss it though. Really, I mean, like I said,
you guys have a bromance on Thor. There's
yeah, I mean, even as a guy, I think you got to go. Wow, I kind of felt, I definitely felt bad. I definitely felt inadequate. In that sequence, and that's right before you see the trailer for Captain America, and there's Chris Evans looking cut and shaved as hell.
Oh my gosh,
Jeez.
I know.
I mean, so it's like, man, I got to go to the gym. So,
see, you say that like, man, I need to go take a shower.
Brian is saying Screen View is in an hour 40. I could have swore he said it was 7:45. Eastern, but I guess it's 8:40 Eastern. So, anyway, that'll be in a little bit though. So good stuff there. Anyway, we have got to, holy crap, get out of here because man, this show's been long. So anyway, listen to the end of the show. Tune in tfradio.net. Also, fanboyversus.com works as well. At tfradio and at fanboyvs for the Twitter feed from us. We like feedback as well, so I think it's comic podcast at tfradio.net if you would like to email us and send us feedback that way as well. Very, I think Brian is agreeing that it's very penis heavy this week as far as the show. So,
it's very censored.
So, although it was censored, which is funny, but actually, and it's in 2 hours. So, anyway, it'll be good. So, all right. Anyway, thanks so much for tuning in, joining us here on Fanboy Versus, and please tune in next time when it'll be Fanboy Versus
Flashpoint.
Yeah, I don't know if that. I don't know if the exit video is working or not.
Are you talking to yourself?
I don't know if the exit video is working or not. It's playing.
It looks like it's showing.
But it may just be... Or contact at TFRE. I always forget that one.
It's not playing. That's what Kilby said.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Sorry, guys.
Okay. Well, anyway.
That felt good. That must have felt good.